All right, Mike Golic, National Wrestling Hall of Fame, just got inducted. Tell me how you're feeling right now. Your little setup's right in the middle of all the wrestling greats, American history right now.
It was humbling to be put in this Hall of Fame because I loved wrestling. I know I played football for 9 years in the NFL, but I love wrestling as much as football, easily by far, and wrestling has helped my football so much. So to walk around and see so many of these wrestlers that I got to know or I've seen wrestle, it's been an incredible experience. I love being in the hall, and as an outstanding American, it's fantastic. But let me tell you what, I'd be lying if I didn't say I'd love to be in as a wrestler. I'd love to be in as a distinguished member, one of these 2- and 3-time champions, you know. That would be pretty cool. But listen, I'm not complaining about being in. I absolutely love being in this Hall of Fame, but it is awe-inspiring to walk around and see some of these guys.
So when you get the phone call that you're going to be in this, what's going through your mind?
Well, I mean, just surprise. You know, I didn't see that coming, and they explained, about contributions and helping the sport, and all I could say was thank you, and just I really appreciate it. And when's the ceremony? I'll be there, no matter what.
So what is it about wrestling that you love, that you take pride in?
Well, I think it's the most competitive sport. The first sport I ever did competitively was swimming. And then I played every sport all the way through the NFL. And the 2 toughest training sports I've ever done are wrestling and swimming, not football. Football pales in comparison to wrestling and to swimming. And I had my brother and I, who Bob wrestled as well, we had a great high school coach in John Story who was just fantastic. So that helped our love for the sport grow because of his coaching. But then we saw how much it helped our football. And to me, it's also the ultimate sport because you have the team aspect, the wrestling team, but yet when you wrestle, it's an individual. It's one-on-one competition. I mean, what's more than one-on-one competition out there, just who's a better man that day?
Absolutely. So if you're talking to football players coming up, are you trying to get them in the wrestling room? Is that something that...
Oh, without question, coaches should try and get them in the wrestling room. I know we've gotten to an era where we're starting to specialize a whole lot, so football players will, in the off season, just work out and prepare for their craft of football, but I try and tell them wrestling will help your football so much. So yes, I mean, I try and say that all the time, and I hope it works. I hope more football players do wrestle and then realize that, hey, they may love wrestling even more and continue to do it, but the way they work hand in hand is incredible.
So you were a 2-sport athlete at Notre Dame, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, wrestling and football. So how tough was that? And, your experience through that whole ordeal?
Well, the first thing was, whoever recruited me, I told them, I said, you have to let me wrestle too. I'll come, if I'm going to come here, I have to be able to wrestle. And every one of them were fine with it because here was the situation. I had to wait till after the football season, so I missed some of the wrestling season. But then once football's over, what do the football players do? They do winter workouts. They run, they lift. I'm going in the wrestling room. I tell the coaches, you don't think I'm training harder than what your guys are doing? So don't worry about me staying in shape, while your guys are doing your winter workouts. I'm in the wrestling room. And it ended before spring practice started. So it actually, while I missed some of the season, it fit in there perfectly before spring ball started. So their only fear was obviously if I got hurt. But as far as staying in shape, are you kidding me? I mean, it's laughable to think that I wasn't going to stay in shape in a wrestling room.
Awesome. So what do we have to do to get Greeny to start?
You don't want Greeny around this. This is testosterone.
He doesn't have that?
Oh no, he would. No, he does not. This is, I mean, it's incredible. Meeting the young lady tonight as well, who was a 4-time, college champ. I mean, just incredible. What's going on with the sport, and I just hope I'll try as best I can to continue to help it grow, but Greeny would just be a hindrance.
Okay, well that's good for us. So just last thing, what do you remember the most from your days as a wrestler? What's your biggest memory?
Well, I have 2, and they were I guess a couple. One, Notre Dame wrestling unfortunately was stopped. So I hope it comes back. But I do hold the record there for a 14-second pin against a kid from Valpo. Valparaiso. But so since the sport is gone, maybe I'll hold it forever. But I still hope they bring it back. And then, so that was one of my better experiences. High school wrestling was fantastic, but unfortunately it was probably one of when I'm asked about my worst athletic experience, is my senior year in high school. I was ranked number 1 in the state, and my first match I lost. Kirk Loudermilk was the name of the guy who won, beat me and won state. He went to Ohio State. He played in the league with the Minnesota Vikings and the Colts. I played against him in the NFL, and I've always said that was my biggest disappointment, that I didn't win the state title. I ended up taking 3rd, and I felt horrible for it. But my wife, we were at a function one time, some former players, and my wife actually went up to Kirk Loudermilk and said, "Will you just wrestle my husband? All he does is talk about how disappointed he was in losing you. Can you just wrestle him again and let him get over that?" So that was a tough moment. But overall, I mean, the wrestling experience, I think, without question, the best shape I've ever been in my life was during wrestling season. You know, when you're peaking for, you know, those, especially in high school, those regional and state championships and regionals and NCAAs in college, you just feel like you can do anything.
Absolutely. I mean, you touched on it a little bit. Notre Dame doesn't have the program anymore. You see wrestling programs, you know, it's dwindled down over the years. I mean,
It has.
What do you think wrestling can do to get those numbers back up, get in the mainstream?
Well, I unfortunately, I don't know if it's up to wrestling so much as it's up to schools, you know, whether it's funding. The one thing that helps is if you have someone who can fund it, because that's always an issue. But at Notre Dame, they had someone who was funding it. It became a Title IX situation, you know, and when Title IX situations come up sometimes, it's those Olympic sports that get caught. I'm not, you know, reinventing the wheel here. We all know that's gone on, and it's a shame that it's gone on. So I don't think there's any one thing wrestling can do. I think schools where there is no wrestling would probably like to have wrestling, but there obviously there are finances and numbers that have to be talked about. But you know, as much as wrestling can stay in the forefront, and you know, part of that's on me. You know, having a national audience, you know, part of my job is to make sure it stays in the forefront.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that greatly. But I mean, anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, I mean, just it's again an honor to be in here and be around some of these great wrestlers. And I think my first real experience after I was done with everything back into wrestling was when I was done with my NFL career. When I started working for ESPN, one of the first pieces they had me do was a piece on Dan Gable. We went to Iowa, and he allowed us to come in the wrestling room during a practice. And I was just, again, blown away, you know, blown away at what he is. Because obviously I knew him and watched him and everything, but then to be there and watch him interact with everybody, that was one of the coolest experiences I ever had.
I think he's here. We could probably set up a takedown.
No, I see him plenty. He and I see each other plenty. Yeah. I ain't going. No. We're just gonna smile and drink beer.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.